Hey guys, I'm just going to record a video on a bit of a breakdown, the difference between the numbers in your business and then some of the different allocations and how they play into each other. So the numbers we're going to run through with are your ROAS, which is return on ad spend, your ROI, which is return on investment, and then helping you guys understand operational expenses and where your marketing budget fits in the ecosystem of your business allocations. I will say that a lot of the frameworks that I'm going to go through in this recording come from my experience with running like my business through the Profit First business management system, which I am a huge fan of, and I really encourage you guys to check it out if you are not familiar with it, or if you want to get better financial literacy within your organization at a very simple level. The Profit First system is fantastic. Let me know and I can make an introduction to a consultant who can actually deploy it within your business. And that's exactly what I did a number of years ago, and it was a game changer, okay? Because it really does help you achieve two things. First of all, financial education. Second of all, and most importantly, making sure that every area of your business has fund allocation when needed. Super powerful, because essentially you're never without money once you run this, when you run this system properly. So I'm going to run you through a couple of things. The first thing we're going to talk about is your ROAS, return on ad spend, right? Now this is your cash collected divided by ad spend. So if you collect 20K in cash and your ad spend's $500, to get that into a percentage, times it by 100,000%. That's your ROAS. And you can measure ROAS, overall campaign, you can measure it monthly, you can measure it weekly, it doesn't really matter. The way that we typically structure it is when we send out reports to our clients each week, we do it weekly, right? Because we want to figure out what's the weekly breakdown, but you can do it monthly, you can do it like aggregate across the entire campaign, however it looks like. So that's ROAS. Now ROI is your return on investment, right? So that is your cash collected divided by ad spend plus your costs or fees, right? And that's in a direct, you would normally correlate that ROI directly to the marketing side of things. So for example, your ad spend plus whatever your marketing agency's fees might be, right? So if you go, again, we'll use the same example, 20K divided by, let's say 500 plus 2,500. So 3 is 3K. So your ROI in that example, your ad spend's $500 and your campaign management fee or whatever it might be, say $2,500. Then your return on in that investment is $666, right? If we go into your, but then a lot of you guys are saying, like you hear quite a bit, oh, well, what about all the other expenses that come into the business and things like that, which you've got to account for? And that's true, you have to, right? So we call those operational expenses or OPEX, right? Within OPEX, you have a number of different things. You will have your marketing subbies, you might have material. So these are the expenses that it needs you to operate. You might have like your, office management, all that kind of carry on, right? Anyway, you go read the book Profit First if you want to find out more about that. But let's talk about like the marketing side of these things, side of operational expenses first, okay? You need to have an allocate, and each one of these different departments, and the departments, I think the fundamental departments that you should be running within your business from a fund allocation perspective are, so the first two, which are kind of the same thing if you're a small business, but then they do, as you grow, they become a little bit more relevant. So you've got your owner's pay and you have profit, right? They're kind of the same thing, but the next thing that you will have is your operational expenses, and then you will have your like team or like staffing costs or whatever. You will have your tax account or accounts. If you're in Australia, you might have a tax account and a GST account. And then you may as well also have like a savings account or like a vault account or something like that, right? So talking about marketing in the OPEX, right? The minute that you start spending money on ads, you need to understand, like, you need to have an allocation for marketing budget. So a marketing budget looks like this. If you've got a business which turns, say, most businesses will have anywhere up to about a 10% marketing budget allocation, depending on the business, of course. And the difference as well, if you're a business that does like large projects, your marketing budget won't need to be as much as a business that does smaller budgets, because the smaller projects, because the smaller jobs you need more of, so you've got to market more. If that makes sense, right? So if you're like building new homes and your average ticket item on that is like $1 million or whatever, then you don't need a 10% marketing budget. Well, look, it depends on outcomes, but typically you don't need a 10% marketing budget on that. So let's say you've got a business which is turning, I don't know, like 2 mil, right? And you've got a 4% marketing budget allocation, right? Like in annual turnover. So your marketing budget allocation is $80K a year in that instance. So out of that marketing budget will come anything marketing related, campaign management, subbies that you're using for marketing, website hosting, ad fees, and that kind of stuff, right? But it's allocated. And if you do it as a percentage, then like the money, it should exist there, okay? So the reason that becomes useful is because like you need to understand the difference between your return on ad spend, your return on investment, and then your marketing budget allocation. Because when you have those three things in place, then it just offers a layer of transparency across the board. Now, the reason that you want to have those three things in place as well is because for peace of mind, if nothing else, like if you go, especially if you've got big ticket stuff and your like projects, it might take you a year, it could even take you 2 years to land that big job. So you want to make sure that you're letting the numbers do the talking, not your emotions. All right. By the way, when you're coming out of a world which is purely referral based, so like super warm leads, which to be fair, most like project-based builders that we typically work with when they come to us, that's them. They don't have like incoming leads, cold traffic sources and that kind of stuff. So their relationship with marketing budgets is non-existent because they've never had to before. But the minute you start spending money on this stuff, you've got to make sure that you have it allocated because it is a business expense. It's an operational expense within your organization. So anyway, that's like a 30,000 foot overview of your of how that all looks. Make sure that again you understand the difference between your return on your ad spend, your return on your investment, and then your fund allocation within marketing budget, which lives inside operational expenses, along with a bunch of other things. And again, go and read the book Profit First. It's really good. And if you need an introduction to a consultant who can help you deploy it, let me know. I can manage that.